Hey, it's Krez. In this video, we are going to do a 2-year review of the Milwaukee M12 stapler. 2 years, I got a list of projects and use cases here of, just different things I've done the last 2 years with this and whether or not I would recommend this tool for that application. Let's talk about the project that I initially bought this for, which was a radiant floor staple up system. Now, I also did another radiant floor project, which wasn't a staple up system, just one where we lay it down on the ground, but I used this in both cases to staple the aluminum stapling the aluminum fins. Now, I manufactured these panels myself for both of these radiant systems, so it might be a little bit different in that I had some thinner gauge aluminum. I don't remember the gauge of aluminum of that project off the top of my head, but the thing I found is that I did have to hammer some of the staples back in, and it made a difference because I was just about maxed out as far as power of whether or not I was square. So if I was sitting pretty good, but if I was angled a little bit, sometimes it wouldn't go in. It made a big difference using chiseled staples, so for an application like that, I would recommend using chiseled staples. Another application, let's talk about the use case of drywall Cornerbead. Tried it on some drywall Cornerbead. Usually the staples ended up crimpling and not penetrating. Sometimes you'd get one leg. Sometimes you could try to place it in one of the holes, so one leg of the staple would fire through the hole and the other one might sink, but sometimes it would crimple. So for the most part, I'm not gonna recommend this for attaching steel Cornerbead for drywall. I didn't have very good luck with it. I found it was just easier and more reliable to just actually screw it in anyway, so that's what I ended up doing. Now, plastic drywall Cornerbead, this might be a different story on. I haven't had a chance to use it on that. Our next use case would be furniture. So whether you're talking about a shear panel in the back of a dresser or a filing cabinet or a bookcase, all of which I've taken, kind of some of that cheap furniture and just gone around the house and strengthened it. I've also had a dining room chair that I've had to kind of re-stretch and reupholster, so we did that. I've got a couple other upholstery projects that I haven't used it on, but I'm assuming it will work just fine, seeing how it's worked on the previous ones quite well. Furniture. So whether you're looking to strengthen furniture, repair furniture, or build furniture, I think this would be a pretty good tool. Next up, electrical wire. No, probably not. I think Milwaukee might actually make a cable stapler for Romex. Stapling down carpet pad works pretty good for that. Pretty self-explanatory. Very easy for this tool to do that. So another one was I added a return and used some pan or ThermOpan for that. Stapled that up with this and then put tape, just duct tape over the top. Duct tape, not duct tape. Duct tape, but not like your the actual tape you're supposed to use on ducks. Foil tape. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So anyway, this worked pretty good for stapling in that application. Applying like a WRB, weather resistive barrier, so that would be like a Typar, Tyvek, something like that, works good for that, unless of course you need cap fasteners for that. This guy's not going to fire those. Would recommend for that type of application for siding. Insulating with a paper-faced fiberglass bat, for example. I have used it for that project. I've used it, borrowed it to a couple friends who have used it for that project, for those types of projects, like re-insulating their whole garage, and it's been pretty good for that. Works super simple. I mean, paper is really not that hard to penetrate, so good tool for that application. Another similar application would be for installing like a vapor barrier. So you could use a smart vapor barrier, vapor retarder of some type. I mean, full disclosure, as far as polyethylene vapor barriers go, I'm pretty much team no vape. So what that means is I try to build airtight but vapor open assemblies, so I don't install a lot of poly, and I probably won't in most of my builds, at least in our climate zone, even though we are up north. But if you do need it, it would be good for installing a vapor barrier. The other thing I've used it for is attaching a bug or insect screen on a gable vent, to end gable vents in a vented roof assembly. It worked well for that, and then also adding additional baffles to a ventilated attic worked good for installing those. Kind of back up behind the soffits, stapling them up, not a problem there. Good tool for that. The other thing I've used it for is attaching just some weather stripping, just kind of temporarily until I replaced a door, and it worked just fine for that too. That's all the things I've used this for in the last 2 years, and whether or not I would recommend or not recommend it for those projects. So if you have any other use cases or projects that you've used this Milwaukee M12 stapler on, let us know in the comments below what you thought, how it worked for the application, and whether or not you would recommend it for that type of use. That would be super helpful to the rest of us. Definitely way easier than squeezing one of those hand staplers all day. Definitely more expensive. Obviously the staplers are pretty simple. I mean, they're just gonna go forever. Something like this so far though, after 2 years of use on various projects, hasn't failed yet. I'm not sure how many thousands of staples I've slung through this guy, but it's been a fair number, considering the fact that I pretty much borrow it out to a lot of friends and family pretty frequently. This tool has probably been used more on friends and family's projects than my own. So one of the things I'm interested in is sustainability and longevity. I'd still like to be building things when I'm 80 or 90 years old, hopefully. And so if I can do anything right now to take care of my body or invest in a good set of tools that is gonna help me to that end, I am very interested in that. One of the greatest tragedies in life that nobody hardly ever talks about is when you have a man or a woman who has the ability, the capacity, and the drive, and the skill set, and the ambition to build hard and difficult things with their hands, and yet their body fails them prematurely, rendering them unable to do so. That is a great, quiet tragedy of life. If you've seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I have seen generations of men in my family that came before me suffer from carpal tunnel and be rendered unable to do things that they were once able to do at a pretty early age, like 40s, 50s, and early 60s. So, I don't know about you, but I still want to be building cool stuff when I'm in my 80s and 90s. So for that purpose, this guy is worth its weight in gold, as the saying goes, although of course we mean that metaphorically and not literally, because I think right now a pound of gold sells for about $18,000, and clocking in at 3 pounds, that means this is a $54,000 stapler, which you can get for 99 bucks. It's probably not worth $54,000, but it's worth it, is basically what I'm trying to say. It's worth the $99, not necessarily its weight in gold, literally. But figuratively, yes, the tool's worth it. There are still some applications where you will use your hammer tacker or a traditional stapler, but for the most part, this has become my staple slinger of choice. Some of the tomfoolery that you may have previously enjoyed on the job site would be able to, shoot staples in the back of your coworker from a distance, so they don't actually they just hit you. You know what I mean? Dry fire staples across the room kind of thing. Hit each other. Yeah, stupid, but you're not gonna be able to do that with this guy, just, so because it's not gonna fire unless you could. There are ways, I'm sure, to disable that. So with that, may you have decades left of slinging staples and all sorts of fasteners into all sorts of things to build great, awesome stuff. He thinks better by building better things well into your 80s, 90s, and beyond. If you want to catch the initial unboxing video of this stapler, you can do so